I'm Mike AD, and welcome to Delta League, the podcast. This week, preseason, week 2, and it was not without a flurry of action and controversy. So, we're going to get right to the action. Now, first, it was Washington, who are playing host to LA and Chicago, and in this one, LA wins this one. LA 34, Washington 33, Chicago 29. Now, Washington player Brad Blagg did not play in this game due to a death in the family. God frickin' speed. Now, after this game, Chicago players Finn Wehrle and Star Palmer got into a physical altercation, leading Wehrle to shove Palmer, and then Palmer slapping Wehrle in the face. No idea what precipitated this. Let's be honest. There was 1 goal and 2 blocks between the two of them. If anything, they should look themselves in the mirror and slap themselves in the face. Now, for Washington, leading the way it was Elix Henderson and Chevy Colella with 6 goals each. And Perry Brackett with 3 blocks. For the Fallen Angels, it was Keith Ogilvie and Bobby Sheffitz with 6 goals each. And no one mustering anything on the defensive side of the ball, even though they won the freaking game. And for Chicago, it was Ivan Goss with 7 goals and Cameron Baptista with 4 blocks. In the end of this one, it was LA who ends up with the 4 points, Washington with the 2 points, and Chicago bupkis. Now, let's move on to the next game. We go to Montreal, where the Maelstrom are going to play host to Seattle and Philadelphia. And Seattle just picks up where they were the last time. They win this one, 39. Seattle 39, Montreal 24, Philadelphia 15. Now, Montreal player Bartel O'Martian was yellow carded in this match after a violent outburst after he absolutely undressed Seattle player Rusty Searle for his 11th goal of the match. That sucks when you have to have your ass be the one that was humiliated and played over and over and over again on SportsCenter. Sucks. Now, for Montreal, leading the way, it was J.J. Syverson and Stefan Greiss with 5 goals and Lalo Celli with 4 blocks. For Seattle, Rusty Searle, 11 goals, and Amber Tagliabue with 10 goals, and Corbin Womack with 5 blocks. For the shred, it was Steve Fotopoulos. They didn't get this guy for nothing. Steve Fotopoulos on waivers, 4 goals, and Cyrus Holleran and Guido Nagaran with 5 blocks each. And in the end of this one, it was Seattle who will pick up the 4 points, Montreal with 2 points, and Philadelphia back to getting steak cheese. Now, let's move on now to Boston, where the Revolution play host to Phoenix and Dallas. And in this one, Boston wins this game. Boston 30, Dallas 28, Phoenix 27. Any mistakes that anyone made in this match are going to be amplified super, super big. A 3-point spread between 3 teams in this one. Now, early in the week, League Commissioner Darcy DeMello said his son's favorite player is Phoenix captain London Chatbert. We all know the commissioner's favorite player is Till Phillips. Just kidding. Now, get that kid a signed jersey ASAP. And this kid's going to love this man because it's totally justified. In this game, the absolute larceny London Chatbert committed on Elon Putterman is going to get him a felony charge for grand theft. Amazing. Look that one up. Now, Boston rookie Hobo Mickelson suffered a knee sprain, and he should be out an additional 1 week. Let's hope Boston continues to play like this, and they don't need players like Mickelson to have to walk on water. Now, Boston rookie Konstantinos Papadopoulos got yellow carded in this match after he retaliated after an absolute blasting that the official absolutely didn't see. 2 refs can't see this hit. It appears we need to be distributing glasses to the officials because that was gross. Welcome to the party, kid. Now, the hits just keep on coming because Nick Hoja, the bench, the guy on the bench, the guy that sits on the bench, suspended, right? Well, this guy jumps on the court to confront someone, and that person is Phoenix player Tremaine Wolitzer, who was going to get the 8 ball for brutalizing Dallas player Lo Ang with a clothesline from hell. Now, Hoja has a right to be upset about the treatment of a teammate, but this is gonna be a tough education for this kid. Black card plus black card equals a 3-game suspension. What an idiot. Now, for Boston, leading the way it was Eduardo Steven with 6 goals and Dudley Kazdan with 4 blocks. For Phoenix, leading the way it was Jackson Truman with 5 goals and Neil Laskin with 4 blocks. And for Dallas, it was Jocelyn Lacroix and Bernie Tully with 6 goals each, and Anatoly Schaefer 11 blocks. Holy smokes. Now, let's move on, but before we move on, let's just distribute the points there. So, in the end of this one, it was Boston who got the 4 points, Dallas 2 points, and Phoenix zip. And that's unfortunate. 3-goal spread. Now, let's move on now to Memphis, where the Pharaohs are hosting Vancouver and New York. And in this one, Vancouver wins again. Vancouver wins this one, a close one. Vancouver 23, Memphis 21, New York 20. Now, early in this week, Memphis assistant captain Alan Adam was pulled over at a random traffic stop and found to have a gun in the glove box. In some states, this is a big problem, but in Tennessee, you can generally have a gun in your car, whether openly or concealed without a permit, as long as you are legally allowed to possess the firearm. Now, Alan is. So, this is open and shut. Now, ladies' man Romeo DeRosa of the Orcas, it appears he's not a ladies' man after all. He's gay. On the last day of Pride Month, he made his way out of the closet. This is about the 4th player that has publicly announced his homosexuality in 2 years. Now, Vancouver player Chicky Bajorski has been dealing with an LCL strain, which is why he did not play this game. Word is he'll be out an additional 3 weeks. Memphis player Bert Town got yellow carded in this match for some breakdown in basic sportsmanship, but it could have been worse. A little bit of controversy as Vancouver player Kolas Hadi walked off the court and back to the dressing room before this was over. Social media totally lit up after this, but afterwards, an interviewer brought up the incident and asked if he purposefully intended to slight his teammates. He said, "I had to take a leak. We won the game. What's the issue? When you gotta go, you gotta go." Now, After this game, the Pharaohs player Carmelo McCall was filmed partying with Fire Demons fans who had flown in from New York. This is the second time in as many weeks players have been seen partying with the opposition. The club better put their foot down on this. In the off-season, do whatever you want, but when we're playing professional Delta, you need to maintain a professional distance. Now, for Memphis, it was Allen Adam with 5 goals, no one else mustering that much at all. For Vancouver, Bernie Pukila with 6 goals, and Andy Awe with 4 blocks. And for New York, it was Ruben Nygaard with 5 goals, and Carmen Thorson with 8 blocks. Now, in the end of this one, it was once again Vancouver picking up the 4 points, Memphis with 2, and New York missing out on the 2 points by 1 goal. They get nothing. Now, let's move on to the next game of the evening, where Salt Lake City. They're going to play host to Detroit and Atlanta. And in this one, we got a 2-way tie. Salt Lake City 19, Atlanta 19, Detroit 16. Now, word came out this week that Detroit star Argenta Mignani is being investigated for gambling, and not just playing the lotto, for betting against her own team. This is just a horrible look. And the league constitution is very strict on this issue. You can put opposing players through tables, and you can even sexually harass cheerleaders, but if you bet against your own team, you are history. Now, it is only a matter of time before she is banned for life. But to add more shit to the sundae, it appears that Argenta has also been sexually harassing the cheerleaders. And man, like, you think you know someone. Detroit can't afford to be going down players before the season even begins. When it rains, it makes a freaking tidal wave. Now, it gets worse. Detroit will be hosting Vancouver and Miami in their last preseason game, but it won't be in their stadium because the stadium has its roof collapse. The cause of the collapse is being investigated, and we'll provide the news as it becomes available. One way or the other, this game will have to change venues. Eli Ercolani from the Salt Lake City Swarm is getting a divorce. Apparently, it's not a good idea to accuse your wife of having a lesbian affair with one of your teammates, Laura Greco. If his intent was to totally fuck with the chemistry of his team and the size of his bank account, he succeeded beautifully. Now, Sting player Reggie Joag Dev has been disciplined for the sexual harassment of cheerleaders. We're more used to seeing fat streakers harass the players. And of course, mascots exposing themselves to the cheerleaders, but it doesn't mean we condone this behavior. The club has given him a warning. Now, Detroit player Rad Marnane got a yellow card in this match because of a real bad trip, which led to a punch-up with Atlanta player Casey Dobricka, who racked up 5 goals before she punched Marnane in the skull. The trap door opens, and the game of snakes and ladders takes you to the press box. Now, for Salt Lake City, it was Moore Scudder with 7 goals and Alexander Farner with 5 blocks. For Detroit, it was Rad Marnane and Isaac Parker Johnson with 4 goals each, and Anastasio Polimu with 5 blocks. And for the Inferno, it was Casey Dobricka with 5 goals and Hedy Fenich with 3 blocks. And in the end of this one, Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City gets the 3 points, Atlanta gets 3 points, and Detroit, nada. Now let's move on to what appears to be the last game of the night. in which Denver hosts Toronto and Miami. And in this one, Denver wins it. Denver 24, Toronto 19, Miami 12. Now, Denver captain Mark Pinnell missed this game because he just became a father. Congrats. But they did not even need him because both at Toronto and everybody's usual suspect for poor performances, Miami, made true on their desire to not give a shit. Now, hardcore Corbin Hargabin did not play again this week due to the injuries he suffered in an ass-kicking from a local drug cartel. We can only hope he can recover because Miami needs this guy on the court, not ass up in the Everglades. Now, after this game, Denver player Emil Safron declared immediate retirement from Delta League. Reason? Too banged up, can't play at the level he wants to be at, so Denver is up Schitt's Creek. They're down a man for the rest of the year. If you're not feeling it, tell us before the rosters are locked down. That's definitely going to affect how this team will compete going into the 2025 season. That sucks. Now, there must be something in the water because early in the week, SLC player Eli Ercolani accused his wife of having an affair with one of his teammates, and now Toronto player Ravi Cutter accuses his wife of sleeping with his teammate Gabriella Davignon. These guys need to get together and have a beer and work out their mutual problems, which in recent days have become coincidentally crappy. Now, early in the week, Toronto captain Travis Valencia came out and said, "I wouldn't mind if I got drafted to an expansion team." As you well know, the league has announced that it's going to expand next year, and Valencia appears to be very open to a move. I mean, there are some pissed off people on social media calling him a traitor and teammates who were irked by the statement, but they came out and reiterated his statement saying, you know, some people really dread getting that call. Either it's you've been traded or you've been demoted or you've been put on waivers, but I see all these things as an opportunity for personal growth. And if the team decides to leave me unprotected, I'd accept that, you know? This is professional sports. Let me be clear. I have no desire to leave this team. This is a good team. Great, even. And we have an opportunity to win a championship this year. That's my primary focus. But if that call happens, I'll accept it, you know? I'll give 150%. Can't disagree. Now, for Denver, leading the way, it was Emil Safron with 5 goals before he said, "I quit." And Damian Ellis, 13 blocks. Holy smokes. For Toronto, we had a hodgepodge of players here. Dan Kamen, Lyles Houston, and Barb White with 4 goals and 2 blocks each. Now, for Miami, we had here Silas Coffey and Maximus Brown with 4 goals each, and Mendoza Middleton and Jill Falsey with 3 blocks each. Miami back to the usual behavior. So, in this one, Denver picks up the 4 points, Toronto with 2, and Miami, nothing. So now we'll just move on to the standings because we just love doing this kind of thing. And you know what? We got 2 games, so why don't we just do the standings? Vancouver at the top of the standings with 8 points. Seattle with 7 points. We followed by LA, Denver, Montreal, and Washington with 6 points each. Then we got Boston with 5 points. Then Phoenix, Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Memphis with 4 points each. Then we got Salt Lake City, Chicago, Dallas, and Toronto, 3 points each. And at the bottom, we got Detroit, New York, and Miami still to pick up Nothing. Now, let's update the scoring. We got at the top, we got Rusty Searle from Seattle with 16 goals. Canrib Baptista, Gus Partenza, and Chevy Colella with 15 goals each. We got Rob Donoff and Elix Henderson with 13 goals. We got Amber Tagliabue from Seattle, 11 goals. Then Chip Chiozzi, Frank Viano, Randy Magnuson, Emil Saffron, Jocelyn Lacroix, Ivan Goss, Eduardo Steven, and Rhino Montalban with 10 goals each. And the block leaders now are, if anyone's surprised, Wilt Davola, 22 blocks. Damian Ellis, Denver, 15 blocks. Moore Scudder, 14 blocks. John Stein, Montreal, 13 blocks. Anatoly Schaefer, 11 blocks. Wesley Jazz Dans and Sebastiano Guarnieri and Hedy Fenich with 10 blocks each. Then we have Doss Hawthorne, Chicago, Kroll Vitkovich, Toronto, and Carmen Thorson with 8 blocks each, and 6 players with 7 blocks. Next week, the preseason concludes with New York hosting Salt Lake and Montreal, Atlanta hosting Denver and Memphis, Detroit hosting Vancouver and Miami, Dallas hosting LA and Philly, Phoenix hosting Chicago and Washington, and Seattle hosting Toronto and Boston. Stay tuned for the last week of the preseason, which will be chocked full of action, because in the sport of Delta, the action never stops. See ya.
This is Delta 2.